Welcome, everybody, to yet another just completely disheveled start to the MHA Beyond, the MHA Rewatch Show, My Hero Analysis Beyond the MHA Rewatch Show. I've been sitting here drinking beer for the past hour and a half, so it's going to be quite a show, I think. Steph, how are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. It's been a day of went and took a bunch of photos actually of the Promised Neverland. I got some new characters for that, so I was pretty excited. And
That's
then
awesome.
and then watched these episodes today, so it's been good.
What new figures did you get?
They're the Aniplex scales. So I got all three characters. So I have Emma, Norman, and Ray. So I was super excited to take them out.
Ooh, nice. We have funny. Right before we went live, we were actually talking about Promised Neverland. You were promised a new intro.
The new intro to the show, not to this show.
Yeah. No. This show will never get a new intro. We got the one intro that Fire Scorpio photo made us, and that is it. Yes, but no, yeah, a new intro to My Hero.
This episode, so yes. A new intro.
Yeah, episode 2, you get your new intro. So there you go, James. But we were talking about Promised Neverland before we jumped on, and I even told Steph before we started recording tonight, I kind of want to just talk about a whole bunch of stuff tonight. I don't know, I felt like we're the launch of another anime season, and we got a bunch of stuff kind of kicking off. Attack on Titan started a couple weeks ago. I think it's about the time that now I can start it, because there's enough episodes where I don't feel like if I get to the end, I'm going to be left oh my God, I need to know what happens next week. I hate that about Attack on Titan. I need 5-episode chunks to watch, because I need to get a lot of story. But Promised Neverland, we were talking about, because that first new episode of season 2 came out yesterday. Or today. I don't know. One of the two. Whenever the 8th was. A time is weird. It's whatever. We both watched it. And if you guys in the comments also watched it, let us know, because I really liked the start to season 2. I was telling Steph my feelings of season 1, where I think that show was really built up for me a lot from other people. And so when I first watched the very first episode, and you kind of, I don't want to talk about too much spoilers, because if you haven't watched this, you should. But you're kind of told a little bit about the world of Promised Neverland, but you're actually kind of encapsulated. You're kind of in this small section of this bigger world, and you get to learn a little bit about that bigger world in episode 1, and you kind of think you're going to get a little bit more of it throughout the course of the first season, but you don't. You kind of just get this little world instead, which is great, I think, if you're starting it when season 2 is out. But season 1, I kept expecting this I don't know, explosion of something else, but then season 2 kicked off, and it answered all of my problems that I had, and I didn't have a lot of problems. I still really liked the show, but the stuff I was looking for at the end of season 1, season 2 was great. Just a good first episode. That's it. But
no, it was worth. I mean, I've been waiting for it. I only watched the first season 3 weeks ago, so this is completely right up there and ready. But I went into it thinking it was going to be cutesy, because I bought the Nendroid of Emma, and I was just oh, it's going to be super cute, and I'll just watch it. And then the first episode of the first season happened, and I was like, oh, this is not at all what I was expecting.
I think we could talk about one small element, because it's episode 1. I feel like episode 1 we could talk about, because I feel like you need to, if you're going to go into the show. It looks cutesy, but then this little child gets eaten in the first episode, so you know that there's obviously this dark malice in this world. But that's kind of the thing I really like about it. It's it's super cutesy, but no, there's something sinister about that world, and it's kind of really cool. And I'm really glad that it kicked off this week, because as you and I were discussing yesterday, Steph, Jujutsu Kaisen is still in its 2-week hiatus, even though there was this New Year's special that went up this weekend. And that's killing me, because that's my anime of this. I want to say it's the anime of 2020, but it's halfway in both, where I don't know where to put it. I don't know. It's my favorite ongoing anime at this current juncture.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Mariana says everyone's biggest mistake about Promise Neverland is that it looks cutesy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really funny. And then one of my favorite animes that I watched that surprised the crap out of me is starting up in like season 2 starts up in like a week. I think it's next week, which would be Dr. Stone.
Oh,
yeah, that was one like it looks interesting, and I started watching. I'm like, this is weird, and then by like episode like I think it's like 3 or 4 before the show starts. Like they do like a 3 episode preliminary stuff, and then once the show actually like opens up, it like captured me. It's like, oh my god, this is like watching Mr. Wizard, the anime, yet set in prehistoric times in the future. It's just so weird, but it's really cool. Mariana says better 2 weeks than an entire season like RE0. Oh, so
entire season.
That's rough. Okay, there's things I like about the mid-season breaks that a lot of animes do, where they're like, hey, we're gonna just disappear for a while. Like Attack on Titan did that too, where it's like, hey, here's the first half of season 3 or 4, I forget which season did it, and then it was like, was it a year? Was it 6 months? It was something along those lines. Where they're like, okay, now you're here for the second half. To the point where I thought the show got canceled. I'm like, is the show still coming out? Or like what? Because I'm not reading a lot of news.
Yeah.
But I should probably be prepping this show while we're talking. But is there any like shows that are launching this month or next month or anything like that that you're really looking forward to, Steph?
I mean, we're in the middle of the 3 ones. I don't even think Fruits Basket's coming out anytime soon. I'm waiting on that Demon Slayer movie because I don't know when that's going to come out because that's supposed to be soon too. Yes.
It's funny you said that, and my brain instantly went to the Goblin Slayer movie. I'm like, that came out already, and then which is funny because I was like literally bitching about the Demon Slayer movie this morning to somebody, being like, when is that going to happen? When are we going to get news about season 2? Like, I'm waiting. I'm like, I'm actively searching Twitter sometimes looking for leaks of that movie with like proper subs because it's been so long. Like, it's been out for how many months over there?
Yeah.
And you'd think that like it's easy enough to do the subtitle translations or something like that they could just put it on Crunchyroll or whatever. But I think they want to do a theatrical release. Is that what they're planning?
I don't know. I know I went out shooting today and like I have like a loop of intros and endings, and it's been so long that show's been on. The intro was playing and I'm like, why do I know this song? And I'm like, I realized it was the introduction for Demon Slayer. I was like, oh,
that happened to literally that exact same thing happened to me when so I had my friend Jazer over here last weekend, and when we shoot together, we play a lot of anime music on in the background. And that, like, I chose it, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And it started off, I'm like, I know this song, and I'm trying to pick the anime because I bought all my favorite intros, so they're on my phone, but like I don't have it named. Like, this is the intro to Demon Slayer. And when it finally clicked, I'm like, oh, that's right. And I really want to rewatch that whole first season again. But like, I kind of want to wait till I at least know when season 2 is coming, so I can kind of go like season 1, and then. Even if the movie comes out in between, watch the movie again, and then season 2. I want to like make it even grander because that show deserves it. Mariana says something about this show. Oh, I just made it disappear.
Yeah, she was just telling me about this. I just bought the first manga because she said it was good, and it just came out. I'm not sure what it's about, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, neither do I. The one that I was planning on starting, I am 8 episodes away from finishing Hunter x Hunter, which is crazy. Because it's 148 episodes. I started it 3 weeks ago, so like I've been tearing through it, but like I'm only 8 episodes away, and I'm already kind of like planning the next one. And I'm thinking like No Guns Life is the one that I was gonna jump on.
Nope, I heard about that one.
Dan watched that one, the Articulator, who I believe is not in the comments this week because he has guests over.
Yeah.
But the character design look really interesting because like the guy's head is just a gun.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, it is the right one.
And similarly, I want to read the manga for Chainsaw Man, though I know the anime is starting soon, so I was kind of thinking about waiting till like the anime came out. But No Guns Life, I was interested by, but basically because I think the whole thing is, I don't know if this is true. So correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the comments, anyone anywhere that's seeing this. But I feel like the whole thing is done. The anime is done. I don't think it's like a season 1, season 2. I think it's just like one
big arc.
I think so. I'm not sure though. I could just be talking my ass. I do that enough. I don't know.
It's nice to get those kind of. What about Vinland Saga? Is there a season 2 for that one coming out?
So the funny thing is that the studio that was working on Attack on Titan is the same studio. Well, prior to this season, it was the same studio that did Vinland Saga. Was that Map? No, Mappa is doing the new season of it. Oh, it's Studio Wit. And then when they jumped off Attack on Titan, I presumed that it was to focus on Vinland Saga.
Yeah.
But nothing's been announced. Season 2 by Studio Wit, which Mariana like knows all this. I swear
she's like an encyclopedia for it. It's
great. I was about to say the exact same thing. Like if there's a question, like I know she'll have the answer for it within like a second. But I'm like, God, I need that season 2 because season 1 was just a prologue, which blows me away. Like I loved season 1 so much, and to know that that's like before the story even starts, it's crazy. I'm excited, even though my favorite character is now dead already. But I won't go into that because if you haven't seen Vinland Saga, watch Vinland Saga. But yeah, hey, we're just like 2 months almost away from season 5. Are we at season 5? Yeah, season 5 of My Hero. And this year we're getting a new movie too. And possibly the end of the manga, which I hope is not the case, but who knows? All right. Anyway, why don't we jump into at least the first episode? We can kind of continue like regular anime talk, whatever, afterwards or yada, yada, yada. But we should probably get this show on the road.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's going to be all night long.
So I think I just started this one with the ending where All Might's with his mom, with Midoriya and his mom, basically begging for her to like let him basically train Deku to become the next All Might. And so I just kind of left these in here because this moment is like basically changes Midoriya's path, I think, from this point where he's actually aware and responsible a little bit.
It changes All Might too, I think.
Yeah.
In a great way. Like he kind of recognizes like, you know, how much the difference between All Might, the pro hero, and All Might now the mentor, like the difference that needs to happen and the shift. And we kind of see that play out in this 3-episode stint with the book in his back pocket, which is one of my favorite moments of this 3-episode set.
I liked this too because this conversation is very them because All Might's talking about how his mom, Midoriya's mom, basically reminds him of his master and basically probably his maternal figure at that time too. And then he tells him it's because their hair is similar, which was hilarious. And then he says that no, it's because she's someone who's very strong.
He does say though that it's their hair, but like it's funny that he jumped immediately to just like I don't know something so superficial, and then he like was like no, there's like a strength to her that was very much like my predecessor.
And I think this is the point too, like when they start going to the dorms, there's like a crying scene for the mom. I couldn't take a still of that because it was like really sad. I feel for her knowing that she's like, they won't see these kids for a little while and they're like 12. So
it seemed like, in any movie, anime, whatever, where like the kid is about to go off on the adventure and it's like the people they leave behind where they're like standing on the balcony crying or like waving the scarf in the air on the top of the hill or whatever it is. It seemed like that moment. And it's interesting to kind of get that moment in like the middle of season 3, but it kind of heralds this big kind of shift in terms of all of the students, really, their lives, because they're switching to this dorm life, which means they're going to really be focusing a lot on exponential growth of their character and their heroing and everything. And it was a sad moment to kind of say goodbye to Deku's mom, because through everything that happened, we kind of got cutaways of like mom's reaction to the tournament. We got, the mom's reaction to when he ran into Tamura at the mall and stuff like that. So like, we're not going to have any of that stuff kind of going forward. And it was kind of, it was a sad moment to see her crying, but also kind of like a bittersweet moment too. 'Cause like she recognizes that her hero, or Deku's hero recognizing Deku the way that he does is like, wow, you must have done something truly special and it must feel amazing. Like she said a line, I think, when he was crying, she's like, don't make that face. It kind of betrays how you must be feeling inside, because like to hear your hero saying this about you, it must make you feel great. But also she's sad, so
yeah.
It's just the kids going off to the dorms.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the screen stills of everybody getting to the school, basically, for their start.
Some great moments.
There's
the
one in particular.
Yeah, that was the one I was gonna say. I thought it was going to be another student. I actually had to like freeze frame on this too, because I was like, oh, is that one of the students that they didn't just put the name for? But I'm like, no, it's just some random girl. Yeah. And of course, poor Sue is back there noticing.
I think there's yeah.
So Mariana says, I really wish we saw more interaction with their parents, even if it was just them watching them leave. I get it's normal to live on your own in high school in Japan, but I still would have liked to see it. And yeah, I totally agree, especially because we got a little bit of some of the parents in the episode prior to this, where, All Might and Eraserhead were kind of like going around to all the kids. It would have been great to see the parents we didn't see. I need to know what Maneda's parents are like, for the love of God. I feel like he's being raised by like a single dad or something like that. I don't know. He's too motivated in a certain way to have a strong womanly influence in his life, I think. But also it's the emotional moment, right, between the parents and seeing their kids kind of transition to almost an adulthood in a way that would have been great to see.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think there's still some more.
I'm going back. I'm going the wrong way.
It's okay.
Yep. A couple more. I like that she plugs her earphone into her like iPod.
She'll never lose them.
Also, like, man, that's great. But I wonder what happens in like the new day and age. Like, my phone doesn't have an earphone jack. What does she plug it into?
I like how he's talking to random birds too. He's like walking through, like he's like, "Oh hey."
Let's have the most scintillating conversations.
I think they're all late too, because there's another screenshot like coming up where I'm like, is he super early?
I wanted to leave it on this one just for a second, because like all the rest were like them in a moment, like these two guys running together. Everybody's kind of like on their way in a certain fashion, but Aoyama is just a close-up of his head, which I guess is kind of Shoto's too, but it's like dead on and he's sparkling and it's just ridiculous. Yeah. He's just forever early,
I was like, oh, Ida. Couldn't just be running to school. No.
Nope. Well, I mean, he's got super speed too, so
I guess that's true. He got there already. Not late.
Though he's not supposed to use his quirk yet, anyway. So maybe not.
I don't know.
He's got his earbud Beats by Dre in.
And then they I captured this because it was like they built it in 3 days. 3 days, the dorm. So.
Well, again, you got cement toss, so I think that's the outside structure, and then it's really just kind of like doing the interiors, which I'm sure someone else's quirk is like, I can magically make gorgeous interiors, like an interior design firm or something. We're talking about Maneda's parentage a little bit, which is great. Like, his parents make no sense, and then James said, watch his parents be like nuns or something, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or he's like completely different at home, like very respectful, doesn't have like this hidden side to him.
It's possible. However, we've seen his room, and he does have very, interesting posters up of some heroes and stuff like that. Like, he has Midnight and he has Mount Lady in his room. Not in like, heroic poses or anything like that. But so this is the Heights Alliance. That's what they call it. Heights Alliance building. Oh yeah, it says it right there. I was so proud of myself for remembering the name of the dorms, and I was just like right on screen.
Fair.
Moving into the
we have another place they named too. And then we go back.
I cannot remember the TDL, what it breaks down to. It does not make sense to me except for dining.
The reasoning for it too was silly. I think Cementos just like made something up at that point in time.
They just like their acronyms. That's it.
Yeah. And we kind of go back to this again, where the principal's trying to figure out what the threat or the leak is, and he doesn't know if it's teachers or students, and so he's going to look at everything.
It's interesting, apropos of nothing else, that he is sitting here thinking to himself about who the leak could possibly be, students or teachers. I'll leave it at that because of floating theories. That's all.
And this is, I think, this is when he meets him out front of the dorms, and he's supposed to be giving him like this pep talk, but instead of a pep talk, he basically tells them all that he should expel them, except for Bakugo and then the two girls that were like knocked out from the gas, so they had no way of knowing anything to begin with.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that the kids went to save Bakugo, and the other ones didn't stop them. It was like mean. Yes.
I just like that as like Ida is a wizard. What was Ida's sorry to jump back to, I think it was like end of season 1, the end credits where they're all like the fantasy characters. What was Ida's character class? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh.
I can't remember either. But there was like a moment, one of my favorite moments in this episode is when Deku sees the sword in Dark Shadow's name. Tokiyama. Yeah. His room. It's great. Was he a knight? Yeah, Mariana said he was a knight, isn't he? Yeah, that makes sense because of his armor. His armor.
Yes. Yeah, because he looks like a knight.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cute.
Oh, okay, interesting. Hang on, let's jump back to the comments for just a second. It's like, okay, Blooming Collections has me questioning it, and she's got me convinced it's a student. In which case, you kind of got to wonder, like, if it is a student, what possible student would like betray? Because, like, there's a couple students that we don't see a lot of, right? But like we don't get a lot of Sato or anything like that. But I don't
know if it would be in Class 1A.
That's also very possible because Class 1B was not involved in the USJ.
But they were there at the camp.
They were there at the camp, but who let them know that they were going to be at USJ? Which makes me think that it has to be a 1A student or a teacher that knows 1A schedule. Because they were USJ, like they went there and that's where they first showed up. And it was one of those things where they were surprised that they knew that they were going to be there. Or All Might specifically was going to be there, who's a teacher is All Might a teacher for both classes or just 1A?
I think he's just just 1A, I think.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know because I feel like the ancillary teachers are for both classes. Like Midnight is for both.
And President Mike's for both.
Yeah, that I think All Might would be for both. So, it's possible that way too. What do we know which two boys that is? I kind of want to get to the bottom of this because I do worry that Horikoshi is not going to get to the bottom of this by the end of this thing, which I would have thought he would have had we got another 20 volumes of My Hero. But the fact that, he wants to wrap this up sooner rather than later, I'm a little worried he's going to miss out on some things. I
don't know. He's really thorough on like little stuff, which is
that's true. He is, but also knowing what happened with Hunter x Hunter and how like that writer ended up getting bored with his characters, like I'm a little worried that like something like that might happen and the series might. I don't know. I'm just worried. I don't like feeling worried about like my favorite thing, which is My Hero, but it's got me worried anyway. So let's get back to Aizawa chastising 1A for basically rescuing Bakugo.
And then he goes and he's like, okay, let's go into the dorm now. Like, he's like, you guys better have some energy. Yeah. And they're all like super bummed. And I think they're also bummed because none of them knew they went. They were still thinking that they stayed home. Like the other 5. Like they find out later. It's like,
we find that out later at this same episode. That this is the first moment that outside of those 5 kids, they they don't even know like that it actually was thanks to those 5. At least we don't know how it would have played out without them, but it was thanks to those 5 that Bakugo got rescued, really, and that All Might was able to focus on battling All for One. But that doesn't even come up at all in any of this, which is kind of a shame.
I think Aizawa does mention if All Might didn't have to retire, like there was that he didn't realize it was that detrimental, like of a fight, that they would have got expelled, and that makes more sense. Like that's Aizawa's way of saying, "Hey, you should have known better, but I can't say you didn't do well." I don't think he knows that Midoriya knows that much either, so he's just assuming he's just.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone knows that Midoriya knows as much as Midoriya knows about things, for sure. Because no one in at least this grouping knows that Midoriya is the next bearer of One for All.
And I'm not sure what happens in this part. I wasn't sure if he like used him as an ATM or something to like.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who's watching this, but I'm pretty sure what he does is he just gets him to discharge a whole bunch to kind of just get people's spirit up, to get their levity up, because everybody likes laughing at Kaminari when he's in gay form. Because that's exactly what Kirishima says, like, did you just shake down another student for this money? And he's like, no, I took this out this morning.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of see him going, yeah, in the background, and everybody laughing and having a great time. It was a way to break the mood. And I think that was Bakugo's way of like seeing what's happening, seeing everybody being dour. He's like, all right, idiot, come over here. I know how to like change this up super quick.
That, or he knows it's distracting enough where no one's going to see him have his emotional moment with Kirishima.
Oh, I don't think it's an either or. That is definitely on his list of considerations when he did this.
Yeah.
He doesn't want people to see that like he cares about Kirishima, like, at all in that sense. But so I think that's what it was. The first time I watched it, I was super confused at what happened, though. Yeah. We already know Mariana's favorite part of this episode.
Yeah. It's really, really sweet.
It is sweet.
Bakugo, it's extremely sweet, so it actually makes it better. That's
the thing. It's sweet for Bakugo. It is totally bullying for most other people. But I think because it's Bakugo, it's okay, which is sad to say. It's also like when Mineta's being only like slightly pervy, that's great for Mineta because, otherwise he is... what does Aizawa call him? The embodiment of lust. Yeah.
Like he even gives Mineta a warning during this thing. He's like, "And you knock it off." Oh yeah. No, it's just like Kirishima doesn't understand what's going on, and then he like slowly gets it, and he's like, "Oh, this is a good thing."
Yeah. I like how instantly he's like, "Oh great, now I have all this money. Let me treat you guys all to." It was a very specific meal, but he's like, "I'll treat you guys all to this meal."
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved his he was when they cut away and it was kind of like a distance shot. He was doing like these little jumps.
Yeah. She just could not handle it.
Yeah. I love Ochako's reaction to this building, especially when Momo talks about like it being like, oh, these rooms are about the size of our closets back at home kind of thing.
I like her reaction, but I like Ida's reaction to her fainting because of her reaction.
It's so true. Oh, right, let's just skip past that.
I think that's when he tells them that yes, they're in the same common area, but they're separated by gender. Still, you're not gonna.
I like the reactions because knowing at least Midoriya's rooms. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with like, well, we never see Mineta's room, and Lord, I would love to know what Mineta's room looked like. Just out of like morbid curiosity more than anything else. But like as someone whose room clearly is something similar to Midoriya's, when someone like is like, oh, hey, can I use your restroom at your house? Or like we meet up outside or something like that. I have that same like look on my face, like, you want to go inside my house? Please don't see my nerdity in its true form.
we have these like conference calls every Monday where my boss asks us what we did for the weekend. And I'm always like, what can I say that's not going to be super nerdy response? Because I did talk about toy photography one time and it was like silence. I was like, okay, we're going to move on from this topic.
Yep. I know that feeling really well. Like I have to run client calls sometimes, like for my company too. And I always instantly have my camera turned off. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to try to do a camera on thing. And I'm like, oh, sorry, guys, my camera's broken or something like that. But every now and again, I do have to have my camera on. And I freaking hate it because I don't want people saying, like, Captain America shield, posters of Captain America and Iron Man. Here's, 18 Spider-Men in a case,
Mm-hmm.
Here's the entire cast of My Hero Academia over here. Like, it's a lot. I like that. It's an Otako's room.
Yeah, exactly. Mariana and I talk about this a lot.
I figured. That's why I assume that was like meant more for the parents in the room.
Being the odd mom. Yeah. I didn't really get a pan out of Deku's, but everybody else's room has a slide. We already know where, yeah.
We've seen how Deku decorates. His room will also come up numerous times. Like there's plenty of scenes that take place in Deku's room. And he has it's All Might everywhere. That's really what it is. There's All Might figures like lined up in a nice row on the shelf. They're on his headboard. There's posters everywhere the eye can see. His curtains are the color of All Might's costume. Everything is just All Might. All Might.
It's very neat. So it's like it's all organized. It's very cute. They're like, yeah. Oh man. I don't understand why it's in the dark either, because he's not supposed. I
was in the exact same place. I'm like, oh my god, he must have freakouts constantly, and like he must wreck his room.
Yeah,
but I love the reactions that some of the kids had to this. I think like Kaminari picks up like a necklace and like I had one of these necklaces in like middle school or something like that. It's like, and then obviously the sword on the side. And Deku's like, oh my god, a sword! Like yeah, it's so good.
It's super cute. And he's just like, get out.
All right. This is horrible, but I'm still going to put it up. James, I swear. I'll just leave it. I'm not even going to say it out loud, but read it if you dare.
So amazing. The posing with the room was the best part.
His whole pose. This is one of the reasons, like, I was really hoping Dan was going to be here for this episode, is because, like, first off, his room with a knight in shining armor. There's mirrors everywhere, and the dude has a freaking disco ball. Like, it's ridiculous. And then his posing, his like little pose down session that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely like didn't surprise anybody.
No.
Yep.
They were like, nope. They just like went away from it. He was so excited too.
You call that excited?
Minetta excited.
Horrible.
Oh.
Yeah. Horrible. Yep.
It is pretty normal though.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just basic. I don't think he did anything. All the encyclopedias everywhere.
So, and I could relate to him having all the glasses, and when Ochako and them were like making fun of him, and he's just like, I'm gonna break them when I like it's just if I need more. And I was like, that's so good, so much common sense.
It was extremely practical. Extremely. It was poor Ojiro. And he has another poor Ojiro moment in this when he's training, which we'll get to eventually, but
I like how each one of them becomes like the average one for a while, because like Sero was like the plain one for a long time, and then it just kind of moves around.
This is the first, this episode, I think, is the first time that Sero was able to break out of that average. Oh, see, I can be, more than what you expected me, or something like that.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Speaking of.
Oh, that's the worst too. I'm like blinder than blind without mine. And like if I in the morning, I was like, I lost my glasses, and Raylan's like, well, look for them. I'm like, I can't see anything. How am I gonna find them where I left them?
I can only imagine how terrible that must be to feel.
This is ridiculous. But I do like that. I think Ochako and like one other girl have glasses on now from this point on.
Ochako?
Yeah, they wear his glasses through the rest of the dorm show.
Oh, really? I did not even notice that.
Yeah, it's super cute. This is Kaminari's, yeah. There's a couple gaudy ones. I don't remember which one is which.
Kaminari and Mina.
Yeah, they're both pretty.
But like, Mina's at least is it's gaudy, but it like goes together. There's like a theme. It's very pink and black throughout the whole thing. Kaminari's is just like, good lord, man, pick a style in a way, I guess. I don't know. Like, he has that weird statue in the background too. It's like, what purpose does that serve?
I think they even said how much stuff can you fit in this room or something to that effect.
Was adorable.
Oh, yeah, this one's super cute. The rabbit's got a bed too.
Oh, they do have glasses on. I didn't even notice. Oh my god, these are the things that, like, I just completely glazed past.
Yeah, I was like, they wear them throughout the next couple like rooms. I'm like, this is super cute. Probably till Ida took them off of them. Like, stop.
I need to know what this means. I mean, I know what a Japanese host is, but I need to know why Kaminari reminds Manayana of a Japanese host.
Mega. I don't know what that means. Mecha Godzilla. There we go. I liked his logic in this because he's like wanting to get this parted, but he actually thought through. He's like, I know they're going to be upset because they're getting made fun of, so I'm going to go with the popular vote for once in his existence just to get what he wants.
Yeah, he's only doing it just to get what he wants, and he just wants to see the other kids' rooms, the girls' rooms, and then like he has a horrifying moment in, and I can never remember the invisible girl's name. In her room.
I didn't capture that one.
That was the moment that, and she was like, "You went right to it," and he's just like, sniffing a drawer, and it's just like, it's awful. It's just okay. Wait, Kaminari reminds me of a Japanese host. Here's part 2. His room is all over the place, and animal prints and super flashy. How is that like a Japanese host? But
maybe a certain type. I don't know. She'll tell us. She knows all of it. I like that he's sleeping. He's just like, oh, he didn't even care.
Yep. And he's in deep sleep. Like that little snot bubble is always like a deep sleep in anime. Mm-hmm. Oh, I am not putting that one up there, James. I like Sato's likes cake. Of course he likes cake because it's like key to his power.
I hope he likes cake, or else they just yep. It's like, what else are you gonna do? Oh, that was what he said. Where's Bakugo at?
Yep.
And I like that the other kids are tired too. Like Kirishima's complaining he's tired. Todoroki's like, I'm sleepy too. I really.
Todoroki says that at like every turn. He's like, I'm sleepy.
Yeah. And then he was like, no one's going to understand my room. Like, you girls aren't going to get it, but it's super cool. And Ochako's stoked because it's like her fighting martial arts style. She's all excited.
His room seemed very normal to me. Like, I don't know. I've had a lot of...
Yeah, it's the type of room you want for the second in line to be your boyfriend or something to that regard.
That was an interesting line for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hot and stuffy.
Well, it's because it's like a sauna, I think, for the training, but it's like...
It's funny. This was an interesting room for sure.
Oh. Well, and then Mineta went straight to see if there was stuff underneath his bed, because like there's always the weird ones that have nothing else going on.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's Sarah's.
Yep. Sarah's room is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I used to have those kind of reed blinds too myself at one point. This was Shoto's, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it looks completely redesigned.
Yeah.
And they're like, how did you do that? It's like, what is it? Like, I just worked hard.
Yeah, because he likes the tatami mats or whatever, however you say it.
Yeah.
And then instead of regular flooring, which means he must have ripped the flooring up.
Is that, yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah, because it's just wood flooring in every other room.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, doesn't that flooring just get laid on top of everything else?
Maybe. Yeah, it has to. It's just because it's like
it's made mats, right?
Yeah. It would.
Here's Sato's room.
Yeah, he thought it was boring, but then his cake got made, and they were just.
Yep. They're all rushing because he's making a bouchon.
Chiffon.
So, what?
Is it chiffon or just
chiffon? Yeah, thank you, chiffon cake. I was like, I know this name of this cake, but I can't think of it right now. Yes, chiffon cake. I love Jiro's room. It just reminds me of like exactly what I would expect, like someone who's like really into rock music room to like look
like a Hard Rock Cafe kind of vibe to it too. It's like everything's the checkered and everything.
If I were, I would say if you said that to anybody who likes this kind of thing, they would absolutely hate you for that. But yeah, sure. I need to know what that says. Keep what? Keep dope.
It's something dope. Yeah, it's like on one of her shirts later on too. I think it must be a band in their world. I don't know.
It's very possible. Jiro should have won best room. I don't know. I maybe would have given it, like, if it were for me, I personally like Sero's room, like, I think the most. However, I could also see myself, if it were me designing my own room, it would totally look like Midoriya's, which is terrible. I was
going to say Midoriya's is my favorite. Yeah. Like, hands down.
James says it says deep dope.
Maybe.
Which it's probably just.
We didn't see Bakugo's or Froppy's rooms, so.
Bakugo, Froppy, or Mineta.
Yeah, well, Mineta's I wouldn't want to see, but Froppy's or Bakugo's.
I need to see it. Not under a black light, but I need to see it.
I like how I don't even know what Oyama's. Oh, not very ladylike. They were making fun of it for not being ladylike.
Yep.
You just like, even when he gets like knocked out, you can tell that it's Oyama.
Oh yeah. This is a nightmare room to me.
This is Toru.
I was horrified at this room. Sure, if you're a 6-year-old girl, yes, for sure. Otherwise, horrifying.
Oh. I bet you Bakugo's room does look like Midoriya's. I have a feeling. But like everything's shoved in a drawer.
I have that same feeling too. For sure. Probably a little less overt. I feel like based on just personality-wise, Deku is very out there and Bakugo isn't. And so I feel like Deku's personality comes out like in terms of figures everywhere and posters up everywhere. I feel like Bakugo would definitely have a couple posters or something like that, but like not as many like stuff. I'm sorry. Okay?
This one to me is ridiculous. I can't handle it. I was like, oh.
This room? Amina's room?
Yeah. Everything's fuzzy. Like her little laptop stand. And I was like, oh.
I dated a girl who very much had a room similar to this. It wasn't pink leopard print, but there was leopard print everywhere. And I'm like, yes, this is a horror show for me. Like, yeah. Rooms say a lot about somebody's character, right? We'll leave it at that.
Speaking of
this, I mean, she's very simplistic in a lot of ways, which is kind of like endearing of her, where she's like, she comes from a very like understated background, especially you could tell by the way how she reacts to this being a mansion and stuff like that. And it's like it's apparent in her room, but it's like, it's very just traditional, just normal room. It's a normal room. It's like not Jiro level of normals where there's nothing. It's slightly beyond that.
It's very college though. Like you're going into a dorm, like your first, like the TV stand being on that little metal thing. Like it reminds me of like when I went to the dorms.
So funny little side note, when I was in the dorms, my dad growing up was a manager of a grocery store. And so like we had like all these things in the house that were like branded with like Ruffles potato chips or Snapple or this or that. and they used to like back in like the 90s or whatever, like a potato chip stand for like bags. They would like put those in as end caps, and it said like Ruffles down the side or whatever. It was made, but it was on wheels. It was all in casters. And so my TV stand in college was one of those like Ruffles end cap things on casters. So we had the TV on the top, and I had my PlayStation 2, which had came out my freshman year of college. And I'm dating myself, but whatever. And then like, so everything was like movable around, and people like were always like able to come into our dorm room. Me and my dorm room partner. I don't know what you call them. Dorm mate. Roommate. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Roommate. Obviously, we would leave our dorm room open for people to kind of just come and go as they please, because we always, illegally had our fridge stocked with beer and other various alcoholic beverages. Yeah. We were 18, whatever. But yeah, so people would kind of come and go, and we would come back to find our TV and everything just missing randomly all the time. And we'd find like the girls down the hall would take it, because guys and girls dorms are very much like this, where it's just like kind of across the hall kind of deal. And they would just tease us and take our TV, and they'd be watching it in their lounge. So I don't know. That just reminded me of like that moment. Yeah. Flatmate. I don't live in the UK. Come on. I always like that though. I think if they call their apartments flats. I want to know like if there's a technical difference between apartment or flat. I want to know that.
I don't.
Oh, what beer am I drinking tonight? Green Flash Tropical Hazy IPA. It's really good. Oh, you didn't get your thing fixed?
I had to go get new ones, so it's an endeavor. I had to get a new fridge first.
Understandable. Okay. What is the sack behind Cyril?
That's Minetta.
I thought so. Okay.
Not behaving.
Yep. I thought the whole time I was watching, I'm like, is that Minetta? But I don't remember him being taped up like that.
I don't think they ever like showed that, which is weird. But like after this, I'm like, that has to be him. He's probably overstimulated, and they're like, no, done.
It was probably right after Toro's room when he was like sniffing her underwear drawer, and they probably couldn't get her out, so he probably taped him up and stuffed him, like just dragged him along for the rest of it. Poor Sue.
Yeah. That's like, I don't even know what size bed that is either.
That's bigger than a California King. Unless that's what a California King looks like in one of these dorm rooms.
I don't know. Crazy. And she can't even get to her desk. She might as well not even have a chair there.
She says that. She's like, it's a little cramped. Like, because she kind of just brought her stuff from home, not realizing how small the rooms were going to be. Yeah, everybody else's rooms are like, nicely managed.
Oh, then the winner for the rooms was all the girls voted for him because the cake was good.
Understandable. Which
I laughed because he was so excited about it. He was like, "Oh, I'm really happy about this. Like, that's really awesome." And then Ida's like, "Remember we had cake? We have to go brush your teeth."
It was cute. Very, very Ida. But important things had to be taken care of first before Shona can go to bed. Chaco drags them outside, and they don't know why until they see Sue standing there in the front yard, kind of just like waiting.
And I think this part was like, I actually got super sad. This is like, it teared me up a little bit because it's like she's really trying to not yell at them, but still tell them how bad they made her feel for not listening to her, because she had to make herself say mean things to try to get her point across, and they just didn't take it.
And she felt bad the whole time thinking that it worked, right? Like she was like, oh, well, they didn't go do it. And I feel bad that I had to like bring myself the courage to say this to them. And then to find out that they didn't even like acknowledge it or, take it into account. Yeah, it hurt her.
So
I appreciate this too, Mariana, just mainly because freaking Bakugo was done from point one and he just like left, and therefore
he can only do one nice thing every year, and he helped Kirishima out, so he's done.
that kid, I swear to God.
He's like, I'm overcapped for being nice. Can't do it.
Yeah. But back to Sue being sweet.
Yeah.
Very sad. But I like this too. She's like, let's all work hard so we can laugh together again. And I was just like, hey, let's move past this, recognize that each other's feelings are all, we're a team pretty much. It's kind of what they're essentially saying. Like, we should work as a team. We should discuss things as a team. And let's continue to laugh and enjoy each other's company as a team. I love Karishma so goddamn much.
He's like, it's like, I don't even know how to explain him. He's like the ball of like everything together. He's such a little good person.
I want like a close personal friend that is exactly like Karishma in my life. I feel like all of us would be a better person if we had a Karishma in our life.
Mm-hmm. He's just like so touched. And I like the three of them go over there and they're like talking to her. And Shoto and Deku are just kind of like standing off of Shadow was like, okay, you guys can go over there and pat her on the back too, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd kind of probably stand with them too. Be like, yeah, sorry, but also I don't know what to do in that situation.
And then we have that's the next episode.
This is the next episode. Oh, I did it again. This is exactly what I was doing last episode. Hitting the wrong button.
It's okay.
So, okay. Favorite moment of the dorm episode?
This
is a tough one. Because there's a lot of like really cute small moments throughout this entire episode.
I'm gonna have to go with Bakugo being nice. It's just gonna have to be that thing because that was an enjoyable interaction for him, and then for Kirishima to get himself validated as a friend.
Yeah,
like he realizes that Bakugo appreciated it was him and what he did.
I don't even know. I'm like hard pressed to pick like a moment because there's just so many like little character moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Sero having that surprising room, and he was really proud of himself for having like a surprising room, and he thought he was a shoo-in to win this thing. And he kind of almost was. Actually, I feel like the girls even said something like that. They were like, "Oh, Sato's cakes like beat out Sero's like surprise like good decoration or something like that." I don't know. It might have been the Froppy. It might have been the whole like emotional like Froppy moment. Because that like I like Froppy. I really like her in the show like a lot, but it's like it's this more personal kind of like letting your feelings out. Like, yeah, watching this again, I know this happens, but like I felt the emotion come up again as well when that happened too.
Yeah. She's not one to get emotional, and so for it to be that effective on her is just
agreed. I agree with Mariana here as well. Like the boys' faces just in general throughout this whole episode were great. Like just so good. It is, and James says like if I could pick a moment as being just this episode, like this episode as a whole, the concept of the dorm rooms, like let's take a step back from we just had this crazy, All Might retiring. We're about to go into this crazy test, like just like a nice calm, just kids being kids moment. They're some of my favorite episodes in a lot of animes is like downtime between arcs, and it's really cute. I really like it a lot. So let's jump right into the next episode then.
Yeah, which we got a new intro, which I didn't take a picture of the people that sang it, but
that's okay.
All right. They're okay. I'm excited for this new intro because it shows what we're going to be getting into, and I believe it's on next episode. We'll get into it more, but it's very high energy and is back to being back at school. It's more stuff that's going to be going to regular hero training and getting ready for another test.
So. It's a lot like the tournament arc, but elevated in a way because the students have progressed a whole hell of a lot, which is one of my favorite parts about this test is that a lot of people kind of go into it expecting we've seen these kids, we know what their quirks are, and then all of a sudden like everybody's doing their powers completely differently than they did at the tournament because however many months it's been for them, it's like an entire year compared to like other people. And yes, James says like he loves it. Like I love that as part of this opening too. I didn't even realize that the first time I think I watched it that she was standing in front of everybody because you see through her. You see everybody else. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's a good look at like everybody too.
Yep. Yeah, everybody's kind of. I like how Bakugo's just staring at a wall.
Yeah, he's like, well, Todoroki is staring off into space too.
It's
They're
just
not.
Todoroki. Todoroki just spaces out constantly. Yeah, it's cute. It's just a cute opening.
It's good. We kind of go back to them going back to school, and now he has to deal with this new idea that All Might's not around anymore, and he has to be the next one because he has one for all, the next All Might, the next big hero. And so it just kind of goes back through, I think, a couple things where he's remembering this, and then I think he's dreaming about this. Doesn't he wake up like, yeah?
He wakes up yelling All Might.
Yeah, because he's worried.
Which is funny to wake up yelling All Might in a room surrounded by All Might. It's like this is all he thinks about, dreams about. I don't know, all the time.
And it's funny because his mom said that he lives for you. You're the only reason that he wants to be there is you. So it's like it is real.
Oh, I mean, this one shot is all right there.
Yeah.
I love Ida just like because they're all brushing her teeth, and Ida's just like constantly just moving his hand.
I wonder if he has to run. Like it's like a mechanism. Like when he's moving one, he has to move the other. I don't know. It was like very strange.
Very strange, but it was. I'm glad you got a screen cap of it because it was like literally one of my favorite moments of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Ida, just his nervous tick or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. It's always like 0 to 60. He goes from like super nice, amazing, comforting teacher to like, I'm going to like murder you all basically with intense training.
Yep.
It's just crazy. And so then they bring in them because they're going to teach them ultimate moves. I know.
Yes. Yeah.
I know.
We'll leave that at that. It's just, yeah. I like seeing these three again because, you know, the last time we saw them was the final test of the first semester.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
And I like that they're excited. It's something super normal. They're not like getting attacked or gassed or anything like that. So
it's a shame that they have to get this excited about just the normal superhero training class that they signed up for.
Yeah. So
or like another student being stolen or captured or anything like that. Yep.
This comment, I almost wanted to know if Gran Torino has like an ultimate move because I don't think he does. I think his whole being is just the same way he does things.
I think his ultimate move is how fast he is constantly.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he can act usually before you can even think about it.
So I was thinking, endangered species, who would it be? This is what Training Dining Land.
What a terrible name.
And it's because they could serve up anything that they want for their training appetites. And I was just like, Cementos, stop.
Yeah. You shouldn't be allowed to name things, Cementos. Sorry.
Yeah, we're like, oh no. And it's all sparkly too. I was like, no.
Yep. This is good because he's like, of course he's questioning them, but when he gets the feedback that his Recipro Burst is an ultimate move, and he was like, oh, it could be. He was like, oh my god, really? It could be really. Like it was really funny.
The way he like sounded too was great. The guy did a really good job on it. Because they go through that, they're gonna know your quirk after a while too. So you have to have different ways of getting yourself out of danger. Basically, what is the guy says? An end all move that you know will work or something like that at all times, like a.
Yeah, I forget what they use a specific phrase like over and over and over again. It's like I can't remember what it is, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and because you can yell that and they're going to know it's going to happen, and then people will come to you to be rescued instead of trying to figure out what's going on.
Yep. And we're worried about Ida's Recipro Burst.
I didn't get him being embarrassed.
That's all right. And they talk about how like big part of this is them upgrading their costumes to kind of help along with their super move or their ultimate move, as well as any kind of part of their journey that they've encompassed to this point. Like how Midoriya wants to really back the ligaments of his arms because, you know, he's done such terrible freaking damage to his arms that he needs some kind of update to his costume to help with it.
Well, now that they know more about how they're going to use their quirks and what being a superhero is too, they all have things they want to change.
Yep. This is that poor Zero moment.
I move like this because I have a tail. Well, he does, so it's not his fault. But yeah.
This is talking about. It took me a second. Yeah, Gran Torino. I would think though that like All Might's ultimate move is his United States of Smash, right? Like his end all be all, turn things around, super move. I feel like even the pro heroes have a ultimate move. You know, like the Lacquer Chain Prison. They use that as an example, and he's a pro hero. Granted, he's kind of like a beginning pro hero, but still, like I feel like all of them do have like a super move. Maybe we just never saw Gran Torino's or anything like that. He might have one. Who knows?
I was hoping he was special.
Possible.
He's just cool without it. This was super cool because when she did it the first time, I was like, that is not going to be helpful.
But also when he told her how to do it, I don't know. I think about like my own history with like as a kid growing up with hoses and whatnot. The first thing you do is you stick your hand in front of the hose and see what happens. Like what? Why didn't she think to do that with her hands herself? Like I would have done that first. Like, how do I get this to come out faster? That's true. She was one of the failed.
Because even like
question answer.
Yeah, because even like I think later on, All Might goes to talk to Kirishima and like gives him the idea for the full-on armor, basically, instead of him thinking of it.
Okay, so there's the moment when he gets big. My instant reaction was he must have destroyed that cast on his arm.
Oh,
but he didn't. He just got big, and the cast was still fine.
And then. Even though I wasn't asked to be here because I didn't have anything else better to do, so I'm gonna be here to hang out.
Yeah, poor All Might.
I do like that Eraserhead like now treats him like a liability. Like, be careful, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, he's like the grandpa of Class 1A.
And this is like Midoriya basically voicing his concern because he's like, well, I can't practice doing anything with my arms because I'm going to blow them up.
Yeah.
He's like, what do I do? And he doesn't know either. So like, I think he's just like, I don't know what to tell you.
All Might has a good, not ectoplasm, but All Might has a good thing to tell him. I mean, All Might I think has the answer in his mind, but he even says he's like, I can't give you. I'm a teacher. I can't give you the answer. You know, like you have to find it for yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
I love when he's like, mine died. Give me another.
Yeah. The way he says ectoplasm too, it just sounds so cool. The guy's like voice is like raspy enough where like when he said it, I was like, I had to replay it a couple times. So like that's so awesome.
I also like seeing Bakugo kind of like, and then all the kids' reactions to Bakugo kind of like dashing around, blowing up ectoplasm, like all that stuff. They're like, wow, he's on fire today. And even All Might comments like, wow, he's super strong. And they're like, yeah, he's been fired up since he got back, as he should be. He just got captured by villains. I'd be freaking fired up too. Okay, I'm gonna go back a second. I disagree with this wholeheartedly.
What? His little mask is adorable.
I hate his rabbit mask so much. I like the original one, where it had like, you know, the bottom plate that he actually wore and whatnot. Like it was a full head thing. This one just being like a piece of cloth that covers here and stops like right here. It looks like okay, what's there's that actress. She's a singer. The girl with the Ariana Grande, when she wears like that black like rabbit mask, it's like that, but even like less cooler than that. It's like I don't know. It's super lame looking. I hate it, but that's just me.
Oh, yeah. He had voice box.
Oh, I did not know. I did not know the voice actor had surgery.
Yeah, because it was during. Yeah, well, he just had something wrong with his voice box or something. They had to have surgery on it, but he said he was okay. But that's why he was getting super raspy at some point because he's Nishinoya too in Haiku. So I was like, I can't lose both of them.
Oh no, he does so many things. Like, that makes me worried. Yeah, I mean, I hope he's okay more than anything else, but at the same time, I'm a little worried for him because I love the Japanese voice actors of this show. Like when they changed up on Haiku, when they changed up the coach, it was a dramatic difference to me, and I didn't feel like he kind of found the voice for that character, the new voice actor, until the very last episode. Like when they finally acknowledge that they're going to be fighting the dumpster games or whatever. Like that's when he finally sounded like a little bit right for that character. But prior to that, I'm like, this just does not seem right because I had like 2.5 seasons with the other voice actor.
Yeah, I just don't know how he's gonna scream like Bakugo does normally. With if you have something.
There's a lot of screaming coming up. So, well, actually, he gets like almost an entire season off. So we'll see.
I hope so.
Right, because we'll focus on villains at some point.
Hopefully.
I love this is great though. Just like you're still trying to imitate me. It's all he says, and he just turns around, walks away, moves on to Kirishima. It's like still, but this is like all he needed to say. Like one line, says it, moves on. All Might walking around from student to student, giving them like one single line was like such a good like teacher moment, and that's I think what caught Aizawa being like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Oh, he's trying to think about what's going on. And there's a bunch of stuff going on in the comics. I was reading them too. Yeah, I don't know who Tom Kane is. I should, but I don't know who that is.
I don't know what.
This is to Ariana Grande, I think. I think it's in relation to that.
Well, Ariana Grande started in Disney, so she was Disney. She was on one of. She was She had a show, didn't she? Wasn't she like one of like the Disney live action? I don't know.
I think they all have been at one point in time.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
I see.
Tom Kane. I don't know who that is either.
He's the English Aizawa.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What else does he voice? Anything from like not an anime? Because I don't watch. Because I know a lot of the anime voice actors do other non-anime stuff too. Like, I watch a lot of regular cartoons, so I wonder. Did a lot of Star Wars, mainly Yoda. Okay, all right. I probably heard his Yoda.
Aizawa's Yoda.
Oh no, he's not Archer. Archer is what's his name? Benjamin, something. John H. Benjamin. Archer is the same guy who's Bob from Bob's Burger. Yeah, Bob from Bob's Burger. And the guy from what was that old Comedy Central squiggly line cartoon about the psychiatrist? Do you know what I'm talking about? No. Home Movies was like the sequel to it. Dr. Katz. You ever watch Dr. Katz? No.
No.
All right. Hey. Unless you're talking about Archer from something that's not Archer, the show from FX Archer. That's very much John. I know his name, but I can't. Of course, when you're like live, this is like that whole thing, like live stream, like your brain just dies. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
Professor Utonium from Powerpuff Girls apparently is the same guy. You ever watch Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, I watch Powerpuff Girls, but I only remember
the main guy.
I know Mojo Jojo. I don't
Their
know.
dad.
I don't know what he sounds like.
Oh,
Woodhouse on Archer. Okay. See, there we go.
I don't know who that is. So.
Have you watched Archer? Archer's.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay. Woodhouse is Archer's butler, like home.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, let's get back to this.
Yes.
All Might gives his words of wisdom. Deku's like, he takes it into account. He's like, but this is All Might saying what's important is that you think it over and realize it for yourself, letting it cook and stew within Midoriya's head so Midoriya can come up with the answer to it. And we move on to outside the developmental studio where Deku, the moment where he's standing outside the door and then the door just blows open was one of my favorite moments of this episode.
I missed the book though. I forgot to take like when he's like talking to them all and it says like teaching for dummies and Aizawa sees it and he's like, what?
Yeah, it has like little like tags sticking out of it everywhere. I love
that. This year, their conversation talking, like they're walking, like what they want to do for their suits and everything that's going on, and him talking about having to have cool down and talking about his radiator and stuff.
Yep.
Is this the point in the manga that I messaged you about that I was like worried for him, or is that later on?
I don't remember.
Okay, with how he upgrades his own quirk.
No, that's later. That's later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's much later. That's might be next season actually. Might happen in season 5. That's a moment that I can't wait to see in the anime. Actually.
Yes. Well. She sees Deku, so Ochako starts running over there to say hi, and he's just like, "Don't run in the hallway!" Like
forever the mom.
I know, so cute. And then as she goes over there, the door like blows up. Yes,
Hatsume is amazing in this episode too. I'm so glad you got this captured because like. Yeah. Deku's just like, because he's smiling and he's like looking over at Ochako, and when the door blows up, that he kind of just freezes like that, smiling, and it just kind of blows back. And everything that transpires, like when this happened in the manga, it ended an entire, I want to say it ended a whole book on this next frame. I could be wrong. I vividly remember it ending on the word boobs. But when it ends on the word boobs, goes this whole thing, it was just great. I laughed out loud. I was out eating at a restaurant because I used to like when we could go out to restaurants when the world was on fire. I used to read my manga always like over breakfast by myself, and I remember laughing out loud in the restaurant, like just sitting in a corner, and I felt embarrassed, but also really funny. It's the most nose I think I've ever seen on Midoriya.
It was just like so out of character for his face. Like he does not know what to do with himself, and he doesn't even finish the word. Ochako finishes it for him, and she's just as horrified.
Well, she's horrified in a different way.
Yes, but this is not an Ochako piece either.
No. I like that she likes steampunk. It is so very much her, and obviously, I mean, look at her goggles.
She's so cool. Oh, and then she's like, they didn't recognize any of them. And she just fell on Midori. Midori's like, trying to stutter through. And then Ida's like, you freaking used me during the tournament. Like, how do you not know who I am? And she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back to work now.
I've met people like this in life, though, that are just so focused on their mission or task or whatever it is, they just don't pay attention to anything. And it baffles me because, like, I overpay attention to everything. She has a lot of great moments in this episode, like when she grabs Deku and feels up his entire body. It's like, it's ridiculous.
I think that's coming up too. And I think he's telling them like if they're minor fixes too, that he can do it right then and there. But if they need like major stuff, he's going to send it off to their.
It'll take like 3 days for them to come back.
Mm-hmm. And they're excited because his hands will take less time. Basically, and this is when she's like.
So that could have been the episode cover right there, which would have been a great one. Because like I actually thought, now as I'm watching the 3 episodes like for each week, I'm actually thinking about as I'm watching like what do I want to be the screenshot for the episode, and it was almost this.
Well, I like how she's like, he's actually a lot more firm underneath here than he looks. Like she's like going on about it. Ochako's like, what?
Ochako is horrified, almost as horrified as Deku.
Well, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm feeling him up, basically. This is what I like. She's very blunt about it.
She is.
Oh, and then she puts him in robot armor and tweaks him even more.
It's so the opposite of what he needs. It's amazing.
I think the next one, isn't it Ida's turn? Like he's trying to like sneak over.
Yep. Yeah, he's whispering to Power Loader, is that his name?
Yeah.
Whispering to him, so Hatsume does not hear, but it doesn't matter how quiet he is, she hears and it straps him into these.
Yeah.
And this is where Deku ends up getting his idea, the stroke of genius. It all came from Hatsume's like playing around.
Well, she's not really playing around. She's trying to find a solution to their problem.
Yeah, by using all of the things that she's already developed, kind of thing. She just wants to just strap these devices to people to test them out, even though half of them just explode, I guess, by looking at them.
Yeah. Later on, and this is the line where they like the noise that Deku even makes. Yeah, poor Deku.
I love his awkwardness with girls. It's great. It's part of what makes him so endearing. I think if he was the opposite, it wouldn't be as endearing. Because he's like
his one finger is out
at this point. You know, like what?
Her one finger on the gloves.
You know, that makes sense though, because like if you're working on stuff, right? You have these work gloves on to protect your hands, but also you can't actually feel stuff. Like you don't have that same sensation than when you're not wearing gloves. So if you have like a finger missing on the gloves or something like that, it kind of makes sense to me at least. Though it, you know, leaves that one finger completely open. Is Hatsumi a student? James asks. Yes, she is a part of the. They even say it in this episode. What is the course?
Oh
there's three different types. There's the business course. There's the hero course. Then there's the whatever she is.
Yeah, I want to say sidekick, but it's not what it is.
No, it's not sidekick.
No. Oh my gosh.
There's a phrase for it. And I'm sure Mariano will have that answer for you in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But yes, she is a student. And that's exactly what Power Loader says. He's like, you know, she shows like support. See? I knew it. He was like, her ability, like all the stuff she's made, you know, we'll get to that in the episode. I probably don't even have to say it.
But his like the music that started playing when they said this was like really, really good. I was like, wow. They like his mind like slowly starts like, oh,
yep,
that's a good idea.
It hits him.
This is when they start talking about how she's like always working. She never like lets off the gas, and she's only been there for 4 months, and she's made more stuff than everybody else in the course together
over like all 3 years. Yeah. And he's like, you know, after you become pros, you should foster a good relationship with her now, because after you become pros, you're going to probably end up be working with this girl a whole hell of a lot, because girls got skill. I'm actually really, this is one of the things that I'm really excited for. Hopefully the manga continues to go to a certain point where we get like the future where they're all pro heroes and stuff like that. I want to know like people like Hatsumi, like what does she become? Like that kind of, that's why I don't want it to end at all. I want to know more about the world. But yeah.
I want to know more people in her class too, because there's got to be a couple of the people that are not like horrible. So
general studies is where a lot of the other kids that we actually do know, like Shinso is in general studies. Yeah, she's probably the only support person we get to know, right?
Yeah, we don't have anybody from the business ones.
Oh, geez, James. Something, if you want to cool your legs, and why not rolling your arms? Yeah, that little electric bolt in his brain is great. Yeah.
It's funny that you didn't think, oh my gosh. This is just Ochako. She's like, hey, I need to get something to make me less nauseous when she floats around, and like the way she just comes out.
Her answer is this powder, like this, I don't know, this keg full of powder. I was trying to say powder keg, and I put the K instead of the P, so I said powder. I don't know. But yeah, powder keg of something that explodes.
Yeah. They're all three of them are like, oh no. And then she's just like, I'm sorry. And then later on, I don't remember what they were talking about. And then she even says, like, I don't listen to you, or like I have to listen to people's odd requests or something that later on too. And it's just crazy. Oh, and then we just go back to them training.
Yep. A lot of them are just what they were doing at the summer camp, since that got cut early. You know, we see Shoto, he's not in the bucket boiling himself and cooling it down, but he is using both of his powers at full extent to try to, you know, continue to use them more and more. Sero's still at the edge of a cliff, shooting his tape out constantly. And then here's all the other kids asking for costume requests. Yeah.
I think this is actually Kaminari hitting on her too, because Kirishima's face is just annoyed.
Very possible, actually. Yep. I like those gloves a lot. when she actually uses them.
They have some really good ideas.
Well, she doesn't have her face markings on right now. This is how the episode ends. I love it.
And I like how Aizawa was like, "You're here again? Like, what are you doing?" Probably because he's annoyed now because he has that book.
Yeah, probably.
And this is Mineta and Midoriya walking to the class to get ready to go and do their thing. And then Midoriya is talking, not Midoriya, but Mineta's like, "Hey, your costume got changed." Like, trying to talk to him about everything going on and be normal. And he's like, "Then why didn't you change the boring part? You know, you would change the whole thing instead of just pieces."
Yep. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you had it, but yeah.
Yeah. So and then they talk about how he doesn't want to change the core
base.
Yeah, the
Which
base.
which did change because I mean it's very different. It's black lines instead of white lines. I for one am exactly the opposite end of Mineta. I love Deku's suit so much. I think it's such a great looking suit, except when he has that mask on. I love masks. Like, honestly, masks and helmets and whatnot are like my favorite things on characters. I just don't like that front thing. I won't go into it anymore because I feel like I'm just hammering on a point. But yeah, we're starting to see some of the ultra moves kind of come out.
This was awesome.
Yeah. It's a cool one. I love it.
And then I think the next one is,
AP power shot or piercing shot.
And because they're told Tokiyami that he needed to make his name simpler. And I think that was probably part of this when he thought of just AP shot.
I think he just had that idea already. So after he shoots the AP shot, it cracks the rock. The rock starts to fall. And All Might, this is the same time Aizawa was like, All Might, you got to be careful. Yada, yada, yada. You're just a civilian. And then out of nowhere, you get a little flashback of Deku.
Because he sees him jump.
Yep.
Like past there.
I love the proud dad All Might. It's great. And Shoot Style makes its first on-screen appearance. Which, when this happened in the manga, I was just like, I wanted to like do a standing ovation. I'm like, yes, I'm there. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like Horikoshi like must have studied a lot of like kicking and stuff like that because like the drawings of Deku doing all these different kicks and whatnot, they're just so dynamic. And it's just like, it's amazing. And it played out really well on the animated version as well. Yep. So good. Is that the last screen?
I think so. And that smile is everything. So, no, that was it. Because he names it.
Yep. Love it. Shoot Style. Did I do it again? No, I didn't. All right, good. I almost did it. Almost. All right. Favorite moment?
It's a hard one because it's really cool that Deku figured out what he needed to figure out, but the whole thing with Hatsume is like the coolest, like the funniest thing ever too. So it's like,
So that would be if I had like a honorable mention for my favorite moment. It would be all the stuff with Hatsume because like I loved it. And it was really funny, and like there were some great moments in that whole room. And I'm so glad that Ochako and Ina caught up with him before they all went in, so they could share the ridiculousness of that room together. It was great, but it's hard pressed for me to not choose the first Shoot Style moment because that is like one of my favorite moments of the entire series so far. Like the first time we see Full Cowling, the first time we see Shoot Style, like major moments in Deku's development are some of my favorite moments of this entire series. And Shoot Style was a big major one. It's like, okay, now he can actually fight, right? Like, well, Full Cowling was the first moment where he learned he could fight, but he was already damaging his hands so much because he was inexperienced. But now that he knows enough to like have the braces on his legs, have the steel soles, and then go into the kicks while he's like already able to use 20% or something like that at this point. I don't think he's at 20% yet. I think he's like 8%.
Something close, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just awesome. So That's my number one moment. Number two moment will be the Hatsumi moment. You kind of in the same boat, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard all your artifact statues like right next to you. That's so great.
I did. I moved them.
Yeah, they look so good.
See, to get them lit up, I think.
Yes, you need lights. Yeah, Mariana says a great thing when Bakugo does the armor-piercing shot through the rock, and he sees the thing about to fall, and he sees Deku like launch into action. He's already like, "What the hell is going to happen here?" Mm-hmm. Deku does what he does, and he's just so annoyed. And like, again, it's this thing where every time that he thinks he's made great progress, he looks over and here's this kid that's always been like behind him, doing like leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, he hasn't come to the realization yet that he'll get by the end of the season. But at this moment, we're kind of seeing that frustration kind of get to its boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
Which will lead to...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Everyone's praising him, and he's not hearing it anymore. Like, he was so used to hearing it for so long. Now all he hears is everybody's amazed at what Deku's doing, instead of hearing Aizawa and them talk about how awesome Bakugo's doing as well. So I think that's adding to everything.
I think it goes into the whole idea, like when you are consistently here and someone's like down here and then they make a jump to like even here.
Yeah.
Like that jump is going to be celebrated because it's, it's a big jump, but you're always operating at this level that even if you go like a little bit higher and continue to operate at this high, amazing level, like it doesn't feel like you're making the same kind of progress, but you started at such better like starting point that it's hard. You can't really compare the two. And that's kind of where Bakugo doesn't see this kind of stuff. And I think Mariana hits it. He's heartbroken. I don't know why that disappeared so quickly. It's heartbroken. And yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also very true too.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to she makes a perfect point. Like we will learn out later this season, which again, this is a rewatch, so we could talk about stuff that's happened. He feels personally responsible for All Might retiring. Like if he didn't get captured, All Might would still be working as a pro hero kind of thing. So the fact that he almost dropped an entire boulder on this powerless All Might and almost killed him. And this is All Might, like the guy that he also heralds as like this big, larger than life hero in his life and like inspiration. It would have been heartbreaking if he crushed him. And instead, who saved him? But the last person on Earth he would have wanted to save him.
Well, Bakugo saving him would have been him blowing the rock up, and that would have been worse. So
true, everyone would have been hit by like little pellets and whatnot.
Yeah, there would just been like stuff everywhere.
Deku kicking the rock, all the same thing, unless he kicked it in a specific direction. Which, knowing Deku, he probably
the other way.
Yeah, exactly. He probably was like, okay, if I kick it from this trajectory at this speed at this exact like level, the rocks will go this way, this way, this way, and it'll be fine. Because he's crazy like that. Okay.
He's awesome like that. Little mind working.
Let's jump into the final episode, which is the beginning of The Test. And I was going back and forth on what to name this episode. And I was like, I had like, oh shoot, The Test. And I was like, no, that's just corny on a level I can't bring myself to do. So I just called it The Test and ended it there. Okay.
Oh, this is when she starts talking about it. And then he's asking about leg parts, or he's talking about using his legs, and she's like, oh, I'll make you something for your legs. And he's like, well, I don't know if I need anything, so I don't want anything too heavy or too awkward. And so
why do they all have the same like weird Adidas white shoes on right now?
I don't know. Maybe they're student shoes.
Yeah, but they were supposed to be wearing their hero costumes.
Yeah, but maybe they have to change out of them. They don't track mud through the new dorms. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's actually a good point. Yes, this is what you were talking about.
Yes, but it also reminds me of you. So
me? Oh yeah. I hate my clients. None of my clients watch the show, luckily. But yes, that's exactly what I feel like on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, they ask for the worst things. They have the worst ideas of what their design should be like. And yet I will always accommodate because the client knows best of what they want. Sure. They don't really. Let's be completely honest. That's a cool shot.
I like he's going reminiscing about how full cowling came from Gran Torino and Kacchan because they have the bouncing around and the maneuvering and being able to instantly change directions.
Yep. And he got this. I'm gonna take a moment to talk about this. Like, you don't use outside shoes inside, Tom. I don't wear any shoes inside. But this reminded me of a message. I'm just gonna, go behind the scenes for a second. When we were talking last night and you messaged me about you put your feet on the couch for the first time, I laughed hysterically for like a solid 5 to 10 minutes after I read that. And I started to write like this whole thing back to you, but I ended up getting distracted because I was playing with Eli. But like I was dying with laughter of the whole you made it sound like you were trying out a new religion for the first time. Like, put my shoes on the couch for the first time. And, Clara, like she was like, oh my God. And like, well, maybe after we shower, all the clarifications that you put on it or like the qualifications of like when it would be okay was really funny.
I have very strange things sometimes. It's all right.
I need to know though. Okay. And you could not answer this if you don't want to. When you were growing up, because I know like my grandparents had like a certain room in the house where it was like all the furniture was like the sitting room. It was mainly for show, right? Like it was the nice furniture. We don't sit on this furniture. It's wrapped in fucking plastic. If you did sit on it, it's uncomfortable. When you grew up, was all of your furniture in your parents' house like the good furniture for guests kind of thing that you weren't allowed to like lounge around on?
My grandparents did have the same kind of room, and it was like the fancy living room. It had like the nice carpet and everything.
Yep.
And we were only allowed in there if we had like after bath, no shoes. Like it had to be like certain criteria. But my mom always had we had another living room that was the playroom where all the messes happened. But yeah, basically my mom's very clean, so it's like one of those things.
I think at least my family has been this way where my grandparents were very strict. Very much like they forced my mom used to cook my grandparents' meals from like the age of 10 on like until she was 18. So she always hated cooking. Like they did the opposite like of what their parents did. So like where she grew up in a house where it was very strict, very clean, very this, very that, like, no shoes on in the house, yada, yada, yada. When I was growing up, it was freaking free for all. Like do whatever you want. Feet on the walls, feet on the couch. Who cares? And it was great. My mom used to joke like, no feet on the coffee table, but my dad would put his feet on the coffee table. So I then started putting my feet, and she lost that battle real quick. But it's just I don't know. It's funny. So it made me wonder, if your parents were very open, which made you want to be clean in a way where no shoes on the couch. I don't know. The shoes on the couch thing was very strange to me still.
Well, I mean, shoes shouldn't go past the front door anyways, but that's just
I'm sorry, I don't mean shoes. I mean feet. Yeah, just feet on the couch. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, wow, we went on a tangent there, and I am sorry. Yep, new costume. This is costume Gamma, which is almost the costume he has today. There's one major upgrade that he does. It is. When this came out, when this happened in the manga, I think it was around the time-ish that a little after, I guess, the Figma and the Nendoroid came out, and it was his first costume. And I was like, I just need a costume Gamma Deku. And now, we have costume Gamma Dekus coming out the wazoo, and I love it. But now we need costume Gamma Dekus with the Air Force gloves. Test.
Very simple names for stuff these 3 episodes do.
Yep.
Their new costumes are awesome. That was enough for these stills. Was just okay, they're gonna go through everybody's costumes. They're pretty sweet.
Kirishima's the only difference I could tell in Kirishima's is just sleeves.
Yeah.
And like the dude's quirk is hardening, which means he's going to tear through those sleeves. So what was the point? Just to look good? I don't know. Kaminari changes the costume a lot. Mm-hmm. The one thing about Kaminari's costume that I always still find funny is that his glasses look like they're upside down. And they always look like to me like they're upside down. That's all.
Yeah. I don't think his has changed yet.
No.
I don't think he changed anything yet.
The only time he changes his is winter, and you'll get that next season.
Kirishima's costume is pointless.
Well, I mean, he needs something, but otherwise, yes. Can't be naked. I mean, I guess he could be, but, you know, that would distract, I guess, everybody.
Yeah, this is right after the rock gets hit. So I think this is like Bakugo.
My favorite moment is like Bakugo after looking down all upset. He turns around and like the mountain just starts exploding at the top. It's like he's just like so angry. It's
I know.
To this point, I need to know. I forget from reading the manga. The one costume that stood out to me that changes is Bakugo's. I know certain other characters, little things change, but I totally forget what Froppy does. And Froppy has the biggest weakness to cold of anybody that I need to remember. And I'm excited to watch I was thinking about rereading it, but I'm like, we're only like 2 months away. I should just wait. Yeah. But I'm really excited to see how she updates her costume. She's not wrong here.
No.
Kaminari also is like, you're not the only one here with a new style. And it's just great because we will see this play out this season, his new style of fighting. It's great.
It's very smart. And Kaminari is like not normally smart. So
makes you think somebody else came up with it, huh?
Yeah. Oh, probably ectoplasm now that I think about it.
Yep. I forget what really cool. Todoroki's cups what purpose they serve.
I'm assuming they cool or like help with the transition. I don't know.
Possibly. Actually, that would make sense.
Because doesn't his hands get overly hot or overly cold a lot of the time? That was like part of the problem. Remember?
Is that the case? I don't know. I thought that was like his whole thing where he could self-regulate by using one side's power to regulate the other.
That's like, I think it only goes on one side. So one's always warm and one like he has to like try to use it. So I think the cups help with that part.
And Jiro has her gloves, and Anima has his like little mouthpiece, which is great. Mm-hmm. Love that. Kind of makes it look like he's wearing a duck bill. I agree with this. His arm things seem too big, like they would get in the way. I totally agree with it. But you know, they're huge. They serve their purpose, but at the same time, the purpose they serve might be hindered by their girth.
Well, they're holding things. It's like
they are, but it's also
I don't want to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my major concern for him, unless he updates again, is that they look like a target. If I were a villain, if I see a hero coming at me with like wearing just normal clothes and all of a sudden he has like these weird giant things on him, I go for those giant things first. Like destroy those things, and then you kind of take away whatever tool this person has. I think your best bet is to make something understated, which is why Jiro's like glove things they definitely stick out to the point where you notice them, but that's not her power. It's just like it's an addition to her power in like in the way allows her to direct it. And it's not Kaminari's power either, but it's a big change in his ability, unlike some of the other kids.
Kind of like the big grenade hands probably don't help anything.
Those things are funny.
Oh,
Monoma.
I like that Vlad is just pissed that they're still there. He's like, I told you this is the time that I scheduled in my calendar. Like, he must be a very punctual person too.
Almost to the point of not being punctual, because he's 10 minutes early, as Aizawa informs him. Be like, sorry, dude. Like, we have this for another 10 minutes. I'm not going to end class 10 minutes early just because you're here already.
He's just so... Oh, and then they're talking about the half the people will fail the test, so he just wants them all to fail, so all of 1B gets to pass,
Yep.
which makes sense. That was not like the worst comment he's made, but
it's not the worst comment he's made, but like he makes some stupid comments here. And I love when he says, whew, when he finds out he doesn't have to fight class 1A. And then he goes into berating them. And then I think it's like Karishma is like, he did just say who, right? Like, I'm not hearing things.
Yeah. Oh, and that's why they told him that they're separating them from the test, so they don't have to go against each other.
Yep. Yeah, this is the whew. It's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to fight each other directly. I love Deku's face here. Like, this kid.
Oh, and then they're talking about what's your costume do for you, and they're like, well, he just copies, so he said he couldn't be very eccentric, and they're like, that's not eccentric.
Yeah, dude's wearing the most. He has coattails and like a tie, and he has clocks all around his waist.
Mm-hmm.
So this would make sense.
I don't think it makes sense.
You don't think that makes sense that he's the trainer?
No, it's too obvious.
I mean, I think so too, for sure. But like, also he's a dumbass, so that would.
I don't know, because I don't think he would betray Kendo.
I don't know. I don't think he likes Kendo all that much.
I think he respects her enough, like where it's like one of those things. I don't know. I think it might be somebody in 1B, but I don't know.
I'm sticking with if it's going to be impactful in terms of the story, it's going to be a 1A kid, and it will probably be to the point where they don't realize it, because it's going to be like them reporting back to their parents, and the parent being the person being the informant, and the parent is being the informant to protect the kid. Like, it's going to be something like along those lines, is my guess. I see what she said. Makes sense. So they're talking about all.
Yeah, they're just talking about all. They're going to be fighting all the other schools
with quirks that they don't know. It's all going to be a bunch of unknowns, and yeah. Also, is this the point where he tells them that like they might be the only first years there, kind of thing?
Just to be aware of it, and then we get
Froppy with her hair up. By the way,
it's super cute.
It's a great choice. She should do it more. I like it.
I would think it would get in her way less too, because
her, and also it would make me so I could actually like move the head on my Nendoroid a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, that figure that one's the one that doesn't have the movement, and I was like yelling about it because I was like, God damn it.
She has like no articulation. She's a hard one to pose.
Speaking
but this
of no articulation,
this
Inosuke has no articulation.
His
arms are even like stuck in like. I was so angry with him today.
I spent so I think I told you I shot a couple pictures of him a couple weeks ago, and then like last night, was it last night? Last night was Friday. No, Thursday night. I sat on the floor while I was watching TV, and I just had a Inosuke, and I'm like, I'm going to try a couple different poses because I wanted to shoot him again this weekend. And I was like, let me try a couple different poses and see what I can pull out. And everything I thought of, I could not pull off because he comes with 3 different styled arms, and they can only move in those either straight out, straight forward, which goes along this axis, all the way back, which I can't do without chopping my desk, or like so far in front like this that he's like this. And I'm like, no. I wanted him to kind of be like that. Yeah. You can't do that. And it's like, it's so frustrating.
I was so annoyed because they're like one of the most like, they move around a lot. Like they should be more the action style that the My Hero ones are. Like their arms at least should move. Like I don't understand.
Yes. That frustrates me a lot about the Demon Slayer Nendoroids. I know we're breaking it again. I don't care. We're gonna just talk about whatever we want to, whenever we want to. But like my favorite thing about the My Hero Nendoroids is the fact that they have joints for the most part. Some of them don't, but for the most part, like Deku, Bakugo, I think Shoto as well, like they have joints at the elbow, at the knees, at the midsection, like places where you can actually like, you don't get a lot of motion, but just a little bit. That's all I ask. And so like when you get a Inosuke that's just like flat, and actually all of the Demon Slayer figures. They have no articulation here. It's all swappable arms. It's all swappable legs. Frustrating beyond belief. So frustrating. I like this. No rules beyond. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Right. This too. Like the shoulder cut that they do on a lot of the figures, so at least you can kind of like rock them out. That's all we would need. Something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I have all of my Nendoroids are, well, not all of them, but my Demon Slayer ones are all right there. So like I just like look over and I see how frustrated I am with them because they're all posing like the most exaggerated pose I can get, and it's not enough. The only My Hero, it's only the My Hero and I think the Marvel Nendos that come with the extra articulation, which is very annoying. Also, One Punch Man, they have all the articulation too. Specific figures have more articulation. Like
I think my Goblin Slayer one does too.
Does Hikamaru is all swappable parts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that that one too. And the Haiku ones are all, they're not bendable, and they should be too.
Just like the Demon Slayer one, there's all swappable parts. Hate it.
Trying to get them to do a spike move. I was trying to get Tanaka shot in. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. He's just gonna have to scowl because I can't. I can't handle it.
Get out of here with this. Those things are creepy as all get out, and I will never buy a doll body. That's all I will say to that. That's it. I know people love those Nendoroid dolls. I get so creeped out by their little bodies that I just can't. They're so chibi when they're regular, but when you start to elongate the bodies a little bit more, I'm just like, I feel like they're going to come to life and attack me in my sleep. It's going to be the worst. But that's enough of that. All right, let's go back to this adorable little moment of talking about romance between the ladies.
I think I have like every screenshot from this because she is the cutest thing on the planet during this entire like realization of why she's been so awkward.
Yep. My heart's feeling all stirred up. Yeah.
Oh, I think isn't it Mina who yells at her that you must be in love? And Mina and Jiro are mean. This one.
Mina, especially because she's like, I don't care even if you're not like want to be romantic with somebody. Let's still talk about romance anyway. She just wants to dish. That girl is just like, let's just let it all out and have this conversation. But I love like. I wonder, did she say love in English? And is that why she's like rhyming it with other words that rhyme with love?
Maybe. Or that she's just that flustered. She's just like trying to say anything else besides that word.
Yeah. Glove? Shove? Dove? No. I love how many hands are on the screen too. I'm ignoring the comments right now. We're going to keep going.
I know. Mariel's just saying.
I also love that like she's like covering her face and you watch her powers activate and she just like floats away like all embarrassed. She's like floating upside down. She's like, I can't take this anymore,
which is funny because it just confirms everything. So she's just out now. And then they're asking her, is it Ida or is it Midoriya? Because it has to be one of those two. No one else is on the table for this at all.
Yep. And then she like, as they're asking her, she notices Deku out the window. And like that gives the answer away. It's just like it's so obvious. Like, look at her face. If they're just watching her during all this, she's just staring at this kid out the window. Just look out the window, see what she's looking at, and you'll know your answer.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
He's out there he's practicing.
Yeah. I know people have all sorts of weird shipping stuff or whatever. I'm bought into Ochako and Midoriya. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. It's great.
Yeah. It's definitely the shoujo moments are adorable. Yeah.
There you go. We'll skip all the other comments for that one.
As many as other people want anything else that's happening, even myself, they're adorable together. The two.
They are. Yeah. They really are. I also love how Aizawa has to get down to Mineta's size to tell him this. One of my favorite moments again.
He just looks like haggard too. He's probably been out all night fighting crime, and he's just like, "Oh, I gotta deal with these people."
I think also anytime like any character or anything of the opposite sex comes up, he knows without even hearing anything from Maneta, he's got to just like divert all attention to Maneta and put the like whatever idea he has to rest.
He's got like the instant, oh, this is when they're like talking about it, and then Kirishima says plus, and then our new arrival says ultra super loud.
Yep. This character is, I really enjoy this character. He's great.
Okay, good. I was hoping so because I think he's amazing.
Oh, I'm ready for a figure of him. I think also he has a great power set, which we'll get into more next episode. But he also, his reasoning for everything is great too, because it is like, if a lot of us talking about this show were inside this world, we would feel in the same vein, I think, as Inasa as well, because he has noticed something about Endeavor and Shoto specifically that kind of plays out, and it's great.
The relationship between the other schools too, like you get to see a little bit more of different teams, is actually pretty fun too. Like this episode kind of introduces.
The name of the school is Senketsu, right?
Or yeah, Senketsu, yeah.
And so they are the UA of Western Japan, where UA is like the premier school of Eastern Japan. They are the best school of Western. So like they are the direct competitors to UA.
Yeah, because I remember like Bakugo kind of explains it, because everyone else is like, what the hell is this school? And he knows, because he probably was looking to go there, knowing him. He was trying to figure out what the best one was going to be. But
Midoriya also recognizes them too. He knows the symbol on the hat.
The uniform, yeah.
He's intense. I love it. His intensity though is like almost endearing in a way.
Yes. Yeah. This scene was like, I was like, oh.
I love, and I told you over text, and I wasn't even joking, that I almost made the scene where he is apologizing the main screen for this episode. Or
I didn't get any pictures of him hitting his head against the concrete.
That's what I was hoping for. That's a shame.
I'm sorry. Like he was like apologizing for breaking up their huddle, whatever. And this is Aizawa explaining that he did apply for UA. That's why he's like talking about it. And he was actually number 1 in all of the.
He was a recommendation, but like the most highly rated recommendation.
Yeah,
so he would have been above Shoto.
The fact that Aizawa knows who he is says something.
And I think it's Momo who said like, oh wow, he's rated over Shoto, because like she recognizes how capable Shoto is. So she's like, this other kid must be like ridiculously capable.
Yeah, I think Midoriya freaks out a little bit too, because he's like, oh my crap, who is this kid?
Have we not gotten her splash screen before?
I don't know. I couldn't remember. I knew we got Aizawa, so I didn't do. This is like my favorite new character this entire couple episodes. She's like the coolest thing on the planet.
She's great. I would be exactly like Aizawa though, talking with her. I think I side with Aizawa I would be completely exhausted within like 5 seconds of talking to Miss Joke. Yes, Momo was a recommendation. Momo was like right below Shoto. It was like Shoto, Momo.
I want to see when they were fighting, like with Present Mike there and her, like Aizawa must have been like, I'm gonna rip my eyeballs out and like just like do it himself.
I'm hoping that comes up in Vigilantes, because like we are in Vigilantes, it's right before I'd imagine where she interacts with Aizawa. So I hope that she shows up in that series as well.
Just the whole entire thing. You don't know if she's actually like serious or not, and I don't think that's the whole point. But it's just like,
well, she needs her victim pretty much to laugh. So I imagine she goes through life constantly just trying to get people to laugh, because it's the only way that she could exert her dominance, I guess, in a situation, right? Because she can kind of make them, once they start laughing, they lose all control, and then she can just do whatever she wants. This is when she asks him to marry her, and he just says no.
And then she laughs because like no, and I love that he thinks he's like knows who she is, and he's like super excited.
Of course, he's Midoriya. He knows everybody.
She makes him laugh and then knocks him out.
Yep. Mariana says, I don't understand her quirk. I think she says a joke to try to make the person laugh, And then once they laugh, her quirk is to, once they start laughing, it's like an uncontrollable outburst that they cannot control. And they're just like, it's basically like putting your victim on laughing gas. And then she can just do whatever she wants. She can deck them, she can capture them, she can. Yeah.
And I think Eraser, like Aizawa keeps it erased the entire time. Like he does not want her anywhere near him.
Yeah. I don't think also she can possibly make him laugh. I love her flirting with him. It's great. Yeah, they are a great dynamic to the point where I definitely want like a spin-off comic of just those two going amongst things. Aizawa getting endlessly annoyed with her, all that stuff. Good stuff.
And then he realizes that, oh, your school must be here too at this point in time. And so she introduces her class.
In which case, this kid, whose powers I won't reveal just yet.
No.
He goes around, shakes everybody's hands, but one person would not shake his hand.
Nope. And for good reason.
Yep. I love that. Like, stop pretending. What you're saying doesn't match a look on your face. I love it. It's like he sees through the bullshit so easily.
It's one of his good qualities.
One of a few, yeah.
And then we kind of get to the introduction to this licensing exam. And so you have all these kids packed in a room, so a bunch of different schools. And we get to meet, I think he's a chairman, right? Isn't he the chairman of the whole council or whatever? Who's just like a super, 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 super tired individual.
I feel like that's his quirk. His quirk is just to be tired all the time. Yep.
Yeah.
Mara.
Public Safety. Here's Public Safety Commission. And then they kind of go through everything that's going on with Stain and how it's affecting the public and how not having All Might there, it's like affecting everything. So you guys have to pass this exam. But they made it harder, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, way harder. Because they basically, going into this, they think that 50% of the kids are going to pass. But he basically, once he puts up like, all right, the first 100 of you guys to pass are the ones that will move on to the next round. And that's only 10% of the number of people that are in the room. So it is easily 5 times harder than it ever was before in the past.
Because he talks about an oversaturation of heroes right now out in the world. Yeah.
So there's 1,540 people trying to take the exam, and only 100 of them will pass. So that is actually dramatically more difficult than what we thought, 7.5 times more difficult.
And then we kind of go through how the test is going to work for this one part. And so I had to reread these the first time I watched this because I was like, what is going on? But they can put these 3 sensors anywhere where you could see them with your eyes. You can't put them in your armpits or wherever else to hide them. Or like Froppy could swallow one if she really wanted to, like that kind of thing.
Basically they have to be visible. If you have all 3 of yours lit, all you have to do is touch it with the special ball they give you and it'll light up. If all 3 of yours are lit, you're out. If you're the person to get the 3rd lit item on any other person, you claim that as a win, and all it takes is 2 wins to move on to the next round. So you basically have to knock out 2 people to move on. You can't hide them. Everybody only has 6 balls to use. I don't know though if you can just pick up other balls or if they're like keyed to you or what.
I think they do pick them up in the next episode. I think there's somebody who starts using that to their advantage, but I don't remember.
I forget, but because you'd think Momo could just make a whole bunch of them and just kind of like launch them.
That would be
But also, if I were Momo, I'd be making fake targets and just putting them everywhere else too. So it's basically laser tag in a sense, but like
intense laser tag.
Intense laser tag, perfect.
Yeah, I like that he's so stoked too.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, I get to like basically beat people.
He's ready. And we find out that the room they're standing in is just this cube and this giant, let me say it again, giant arena. Like there's 1,500 people right there. Imagine the last time you were standing around in a group of 1,500 people. I know that sounds like ancient history at this point, but there's a big space. Now imagine how big that little cube is in relation to the size of everything else. It is insane.
Yeah, and he's like unnecessarily big. He's like, this is, and I think the guy, sleepy guy's like, well, that unnecessary space is what kept me not having to sleep for the last few months or something like that. And he's like, I'm so exhausted.
What is this? I need to know what this means. How do they not know? Oh, they were in a cube. They might have been like, it could have been on like shock sensors, and they were like lifted and dropped there. You know, you go in one door, and it probably could have been on like a conveyor belt that moved out. Who knows? A lot of options. This is a weird world that we don't know a lot about, but that's my guess at least.
Better it was like pitch black and they walked it through, they followed in a line into that cube.
How do you walk through that giant arena and not understand that you're in a giant arena? Because I've walked in pitch black spaces before that are huge. You still know when you're in a big space. Like the sound quality is very different. I love also, like, obviously this arena is used for something similar to the UA Sports Festival, because they have stands that you can sit in, and these stands are huge in relation to, you know, as big as in relation to the arena that they're there, and like it's like what, 5-10 people in.
Well, it's all the teachers. They're just there for their classes. They're just there to watch. But
and this is Miss Joke.
She's surprised that he has so many students, because usually he doesn't, because he expels everybody, because that's how Aizawa rolls. But
yeah, I think she says, like, you have 20 students, a full 20? Like, what? You must really like these kids. Yeah. Which I think he quickly is like, no, I don't like them. Like that.
And then they kind of explain this hidden, like, rule to this whole provisional exam that comes later, and she realizes that he never told her.
Which his reasoning for it, oh, I love it. I love his whole reason why he's like, why would I tell them this? I mean, Deku recognizes it. He's like, hey, we had a sports festival that was broadcast all throughout Japan. Everyone kind of knows our power set. Like, they know our weaknesses. They know what we can do to that degree, to the degree that we can do it on the sports festival. So why wouldn't you go after the people that are the known quantity first? So we're going to be targeted. So he's like, everybody stick together, which, of course, as soon as he says that, Baku goes like, nah, fuck you, and just like bounces. And then Shoto's like, my ability would, you know, you guys would just get in the way, which I understand that one. That would make sense. You know,
then they would get away with it all the time. He'll never be on a team.
He's gonna be on a team. The dude has ice. He's Iceman and freaking Human Torch together. That's that. You don't need a team when you are those two together. You're the best.
Yeah, it's still the same thing.
Is this the amount of people that they let pass? Or
no, in the stands.
Oh, maybe. Actually, that might be the case. But yes, okay. I concede. He does need to learn to work with other people. However, he gets to cut loose this way. I'm still. I know.
And Kirishima just takes off after Bakugo too, so they lost everything almost. Like.
But also, come on. Again, this is a rewatch. We know what happens. Shoto fails anyway, so, you know, clearly that was the wrong choice, what he chose. But whatever. I digress.
Well, then the test starts, and it is exactly what Midoriya was worried about, is that everybody's like,
I don't think he was worried. I just think he knew what would happen. And yeah. They, by the way, they all had a freaking badass showing. 1A represents in this.
I didn't get them each individually either. I
was kind of hoping you would.
I got Midoriya, and I got one other one because I was surprised.
I love his shoe style, just blowing like all these balls away that were coming in his direction, using everything. Also, like whenever they do that thing where he's like pressure going one way meets pressure going another, and it kind of stills for a second, and like you see that weird bend. That style of animation, I love that. It's like it adds so much force, and they do it with Deku a lot. It's really cool.
And I think after this one, you get to see like everybody's in.
This is the other one. This is the other one that you focus on.
I was surprised he was being useful. Like they're all stuck to him, so that makes more sense. They don't get him back.
That's true. I mean, Sero also used his tape, and he captured a whole bunch, but I don't see that screenshot.
No, which is, it took a lot. The shield from Momo, like hiding the other ones in there, that was super sweet too.
We also had Dark Shadow swiping away a whole bunch.
I don't know what Ochako was doing. I don't know. She didn't touch them.
She was floating. No, she was getting away from them. She was floating above them.
I think that's what it was. Yep. But there was a couple of them.
See, even Mariana says Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. Who else do we get to like a one-on-one moment with this? Do we see Iida's Recipro Burst blow a whole bunch away?
I think so. I think Ojiro too is on it, and then
Mina, like we get to see everybody in Class 1A do something really kind of cool to like, or if they weren't the person doing the cool thing, like they were protecting like the people whose abilities don't, do crowd control kind of stuff. Like Momo's shield, she was protecting Toru, and was Froppy in there as well, or was Froppy using her tongue?
It was Jiro, I think.
Oh, was it Jiro? Which is weird because I think Jiro's sound waves could have easily knocked them out of the air.
No, maybe Jiro was like electrocuting. I can't remember what else was going on.
Yeah. I don't remember Kaminari using his electricity either on those.
No, that's because he's not there. But we learned that later.
Yep. Mina spraying them with acid was great. I like that.
Yes.
She's like, because also like you have 6 to begin with. If they knock them away, you could pick up your ball. If they capture them like Maneda, you don't have that option. But unless you get them back, or if you're Mina and you freaking just dissolve them, that's the best option, right? Just take them out of play.
Well, the thing is, they're not going to be able to get those things off.
Right? Yeah.
That's his whole point.
Jerry uses hers right after this. Okay, so we do get her. I thought so. She was awesome.
Yeah, this is just his reasoning.
Because why he didn't tell them that everybody else knows their quirk, they're going to come after him next. It's like, because if they're pros, everyone will know their quirk. They have to learn to adapt to other people knowing everything about them, but them knowing nothing about other people.
Exactly. And so he already knew they were going to be fine anyways, too.
And I love what he even says. He's like, all you guys like to think about the next step. Us at UA, we think well beyond that stuff. Like we are preparing them for like on the street, day one, solo heroing. This is you have to know how to think about all of these various things. Yeah. And that's what makes UA different than every other school in this world.
Is that it?
Yeah,
that was the end because he's like, we need to keep going with what we're doing.
And I'll tell you, when this scene happened, I almost just kept going. I was like, I had to do stuff today, so I was like, I can't keep going. I got to stop. But I almost like, I want to watch the next couple episodes and just get this going because like I do enjoy this test.
It'll be fun if we have someone else next time too to talk about the fight scenes and everything because there's a lot more coming on soon.
Yeah. So that is the end of episode 53. Favorite moment of episode 53?
There's a lot of good ones in this one too because we meet a lot of new characters.
We do.
I'm gonna go with Miss Joke's introduction because I really like. She makes me laugh when she comes on. So just one of those things.
She has a very good intro, and it. I don't know. I really enjoy her play against Aizawa. It's awesome. I totally kept going because I need to rewatch a certain part for like the 5th time. I need to know what that part is. For
I'm assuming it's the fight on the bridge.
Oh, the meatballs.
That's one of my favorite fights.
It's a good fight. That meatball power is disgusting. But yeah. I have 2 battling out in my mind. It's one like I really want to say it's seeing 1A adapt to everybody like charging them, but I really like Inasa like a lot. So his intro scene and him slamming his head into the pavement and like as an apology is it's great. Like I love it. So it's the next big fight between 2 people. I feel like that big fight is the one with Deku versus
the other guy.
Yeah, Cammy. What's her name? Cammy? It's the girl's name that isn't Cammy or isn't that person. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have to be coy about it. Again, it's a rewatch. We could talk about stuff that's happened on the anime.
I don't think there's got to be something unless it's Shoto versus the Shoto does Shoto fight what's his face?
Kanasa? I don't think so. I remember them when they are partnering up.
Past the testing. We're going. Oh, she's talking about the Bakugo.
Oh yeah. No, I can't wait for that. Yeah. We can talk about when Deku and Bakugo fight. That's fine. Yeah, mm-hmm. I can't wait for that too. I mean, I've watched that 2-episode arc. I want to say at least like 7 or 8 times already. So yeah, I watch it a lot because like I want to do like every time I do like shots with those two, I reference that for lines of dialogue, stuff like that. But I always watch it because the animation's gorgeous. One of my favorite GIFs is taken from that scene because yeah, that's when like Studio Bones turns it up to freaking 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, I got food coming in 10 minutes.
Ooh.
So my favorite moment would be Inasa, I think. But again, 1A, battling out, knocking away all those balls. But so
each of them being awesome is pretty cool.
Yes, there was a lot of great moments through this 3-episode stint of where we got to see a lot of individual kids. It was great going back to the individual kids after being with just 5 of them for a little while. We get to go back and get like little moments with all of them, which is really cool. And we'll get a little bit more of all of them kind of going forward because, you know, it's all the other schools. So, yeah, I'm excited. I always really like any of like the training arcs, the test arcs, the tournament arcs, that kind of stuff. It's really great. As I talked with you over text earlier, I judge anybody harshly that doesn't like tournament arcs.
Yeah. They were trying to tell me like recap episodes better than tournaments, and I was like, no.
Wait, hold on. They like recap episodes. The bane of any anime watcher's existence. They like those more than tournament arcs, which every person typically who likes anime or manga or anything adores.
Yeah.
All right, Steph, we're gonna have to have a whole separate conversation after this about that. But yeah, no, recap episodes. I am not there for recap episodes at all. I'm already nervous about season 5 starting off with a recap episode and having to deal with that. I'm like, I don't want it. And I know it will because they always start with this recap episode.
Maybe there'll be some fun thrown in because they usually at least have something.
They are always fun. Like the one at the beginning of season 4 is pretty fun because, you know, there's some good, like, you know, Bakugo versus that reporter moments. See, okay. Mariana is with us here. She's like, what's wrong with this person? Recap episodes killed me. Thank you. Me too. I honestly, when they pop up, if I'm binge watching an anime, like I am currently, Hunter x Hunter, if a recap episode pops up, I'm seen it, skip to the next episode. I don't even bother. Like I know there's like 5 minutes of new footage probably somewhere tacked in there.
Yeah.
Don't care. I'll skip it. I need give me a full 20 minutes of new shit. I'm not here for recap. Because also anime, especially like shows like Naruto, they recap everything. And God damn episode. It's like, hey, did you know that this happened 5 minutes ago? Well, let's play out those 5 minutes for the next 5 minutes again. Yes, she makes a great point here. They're necessary pre-streaming, but they're pointless now. Absolutely. We like back in the day when I used to watch everything on Toonami. You know, when I was watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami back in like 1999, 2000, like, yeah, understand. I get recap stuff. Like, sure, because it was probably like either last season, like a couple months before you got to even see that stuff again, or, you know, it was like a whole week or whatever it was. But now that I could literally call up any episode, any moment on demand via YouTube, as well as streaming this stuff, not needed. It's not needed. Put that shit away. Though I do I will say when like a Netflix series starts a new season, they're like, here's a 5-minute recap before, and you can skip it if you want. Love it. Because sometimes I'll watch those because it's like a separate thing, but it doesn't take away. It's not taking a whole episode away from me to recap. Anime likes to take an entire goddamn episode away from you.
And Dan and Kristen just popped in to say hi.
Oh, hey guys. Just in for the end. Just saying hi. Hello back to you guys. welcome and goodbye. Yeah, I guess that's really it. We kind of talked about new animes popping up at the beginning of the episode. We talked about Nendoroids in the middle of the episode. Yeah, things kind of took on a life of their own. But yeah. So, all right. Next week we have 2 episodes of the test. Then we go to a separate episode that's outside of the test, which is really the precursor episode to the movie, the first movie. And then we go back to the test for the last 3 episodes. And then we get into the final 2 episodes of the season. So I have a question for everybody tuning in. Should we do the next 3 episodes skipping the preliminary episode for the movie, saving that to the end of the season, doing that, and then doing the movie? Or do we just play it out season 3, move on to season 4, and just kind of keep going? Steph, what are your thoughts? Throw that open to anybody watching too.
I'm always down to rewatch the movies, so they can do that. That would be awesome.
I definitely want to do the movie at some point. And I feel like if we're going to do the movie, we should do the episode that leads into the movie. But it was more, should we take the episode out of the running where it pops up in this series? Because it really does kind of cut in the middle of the show. The only thing that I can make an argument for of keeping it in and watching it next week as a part of the 3 episodes is that if we take that out and put in the 3rd episode, we'll cut the Deku Bakugo fight in half. We'll get, unless we do 4, I don't want to do 4. 3 episodes is already 2 hours and 15 minutes. So 2 heroes. The first movie.
Yeah.
So whatever way recaps the movie. How's this? I promise you we will recap the movie no matter what. Steph and I are both in it. I think that's a perfect in between season 3 and season 4 thing to do. Because we have season 3, season 4, and then by the time I think we're finishing season 4, season 5 will just be starting. So I say we do the movies in between, like season 3 and season 4. Let's do the first movie, and then maybe in between season 4 and season 5, we do the second movie, and then maybe we can do like a week-to-week season 5 watch thing. But that's a whole different animal because it's not a rewatch show anymore. Definitely cover the movie and cover it right. I didn't watch the first movie till very recently. It'd be nice to have that context. Yes. Okay. So maybe next week we just do 2 episodes. And then the following week we skip over that 1 episode and we do those 3 episodes together. That way we get the Deku and Bakugo fight as a whole. I don't want to split up that fight. Because it's that moment where like those 2 facing off against each other is like one of the major highlights of this series that I don't feel like it should be separated. And I just don't want to, I don't want to do a 4 episode.
No.
Okay. You know what? We'll talk about it off camera. We'll come up to an agreement. We'll talk about it. We have a whole ongoing chat. But plan for at least the first 2 episodes, I guess, of the next 2 episodes for next week. For sure.
It's very important.
I really do think that we should take that 1 episode because it's kind of jarring because it's in the middle of the tournament arc.
Sorry, the way that he spelled senpais make me laugh. I read it as synapsis and I was like, what?
I trust my synapses. That episode would just be jarring next week, I feel. I don't know. Okay, yeah. So we'll plan something, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in again this week. That has been your rewatch episode for the week. And my food is about to be here.
Yay!
Very soon. So perfect timing. And catch you guys later. Ta-ta.